Hey you guys, I am live from Stitches West. It's Katerichbourg at Stitches in Santa Clara, California. And I am in one of my hey, how are you, Sally? It's good to see you. I am in one of my very favorite yarn purveyor booths. In a few minutes, we're going to be talking to Krisrine Vejar, founder of Verb for Keeping Warm. And I just want to show you, we're going to be talking a little bit, I'm going to flip you around real quick. We're going to be talking a little bit about her new book, The Modern Natural Dyer. If you haven't seen it, you guys, jump on and take a look at it. If you're at all thinking about starting to do natural dyes, Krisrine has literally written the book on it, and you can see there's some of her beautiful yarns all made up there. And I'm going to nab her really shortly. I'm going to around, and she's going to come join me, and we're just going to have a quick chat. Come on. Hi, Krisrine. Thanks for letting me put you on the spot. There she is right there, and I'm going to actually turn this around and really put you on the spot, if you don't mind. And in front of your thing. There we go. So, Krisrine, tell me a little bit about your fabulous store. It's in Oakland, California.
Yeah. Okay, so the store is in Oakland, and half of it is a natural dyeing studio, and half of it is a shop that features yarn and fabric and our naturally dyed line of yarns. Yeah, and we have classes, and there's a dye garden.
Yeah.
And an outdoor dye studio.
Yeah, it's really kind of a DIY mecca. It's become, I think, for the East Bay, for Northern California. It's really incredible. I remember when you guys were at your small little space.
No, I've known you for so long.
Yeah, and now you've just grown, and it's a really awesome woman-owned small business.
That's right.
Yeah, how long has a Verb for Keeping Warm been a Verb for Keeping Warm?
Well, a Verb for Keeping Warm existed, let's say, for 3 years before I quit my job. And so I really think of the start of a Verb for Keeping Warm when I left my job and I really gave everything to my company.
Right.
So that was in 2006.
Right.
And so really, like, 2007 was our first full year of, like, having the line and developing the dye studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you do a line of natural dyed fibers and yarns.
Yes.
And you dye all those yourself.
Yes, I do. In the dye studio.
That's
I
right.
do.
That's right. And you send them all over the world.
Yes, all over the world.
Yeah.
Yes, it's amazing.
And so what are we looking at? Your backdrop. What is this some of the samples that you have dyed here? They're calling us. All of this fabric, have you dyed that? There?
Yeah, so what this is in natural dyeing. Can you hear me talk? Maybe I'll
There we go.
Okay. In natural dyeing, one of the fascinating kind of things about it is that each plant has a different amount of pigment in it. So when you go to learn natural dyeing, you have to learn those intricacies of each plant. So this is a kind of visual.
Get up close and personal.
Okay, this is a visual explanation of the most commonly found natural dyeing extracts.
Really?
Yes, and what it's doing is I restricted the amount of water used in the dye pot to 8 cups and the amount of fiber to 100 grams. And then I take each different dye and state the different amounts used to get all the different colors that is in the book.
And so this is your kind of your magnum opus.
Yes,
here. It's
so
super
far,
exciting.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I love my copy. It's amazing.
Thank you. So yeah, you can see here in the book.
And it really is, I think, a great primer, and it's really visually arresting. Oh, look, you guys. There's that primer of all the natural dyes. So if natural dyeing is something that kind of appeals to you, I think this really is kind of the primer, the go-to. Because there wasn't anything out there that was like that.
No, and you know what, even if, I wrote it also for what I call the armchair dyer. So the person who's just really into making and textiles and wants to understand more about any part of the process, you know, you just want to understand what you're working with, right? So it's as much made for that person who just wants to read and collect information as it is for someone who actually wants to create a natural dyeing practice.
Really cool. So people could just jump in and get started and kind of make a sampler just like you have here.
Of course, yes.
It's a great place to start.
Yes, and then this in the book goes into where you start combining these two together to make two different dyes together to make even more colors.
Right.
So, how to create a full
palette. Yeah.
colors.
So it's not only for the knitter, but for the fiber artist, the
sewer.
fabric dyer, the
Yeah.
sewer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's super exciting.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to glance around the booth
Yeah.
for a little
Have fun.
bit. But
Yes.
you guys, you can find Krisrine over at A Verb for Keeping Warm in Oakland, California. You can find her online. They have fiber clubs. They have yarn clubs. It's all super exciting.
Club, yeah.
And I was a great member of that yarn and fiber club for a long time. It was great. So thank you so much. And I'm just going to walk around a little bit.
Have fun.
And I appreciate your time.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So you guys, I'm going to walk around a little bit here so you guys can see what's going on. She also has a bunch of cool natural dyes here. Can you see that? That's one of my favorites. That's cochineal right there. Cochineal is one of my favorite dyes. Let's walk around a little bit. I'm going to walk through the booth here. The craziness at Stitches. And let's take a look at some of Kristine's hand-dyed yarns, you guys. It's crazy, beautiful. This is, I think it's a lace weight. It's pretty light. Look at that. It's merino, cashmere, nylon. I know, am I speaking your language, you guys, right? And look at that back wall right there. All that delicious yarn. So even though maybe a lot of you who are watching are beaders and jewelry makers, you know, you can take your inspiration from a lot of different places. I mean, we could just grab this wall and we could palette it in beads, or you could palette it in fabric. I know that there's some quilters out there watching as well. So, you know, take that color inspiration wherever you can find it. And I think the really interesting thing about Krisrine and her natural palettes is that everything really seems to look like they go together, right? Even though their colors may be at the opposite end of the color wheel. Let's take a look at some of the knitted items here. You can also go online and get a lot of her patterns, cool things. You can see over here. Aren't they really killer? And I personally used her yarns. I love them. Really structurally sound. Look at that stitch definition. Oh my gosh. I can't take it. All right, you guys. Well, I'm gonna around. So I've got some yarn in the background while I scratch my face. Well, thanks for joining me for the quick tour from A Verb for Keeping Warm. As again, you can find her right online, verbforkeepingwarm.com, right in Oakland, California. Great small business. And again, if you're at all interested in starting to work with natural dyes, Krisrine Vejar's book is a great place to start. All right, we'll see you guys again.